So, we've got a few stories to cover and not a lot of time to do it. I've seen y'all's video retention numbers and I'm not about to dip under 10% because y'all can't watch videos longer than 15 seconds. This is the IDW Sonic Annual 2024, a comic filled with various short stories covering multiple characters and their lives. Some good, and some bad. Very bad. Well, not as far as the stories go, but more what happens in them that's bad. Prepare your feels, we're going to be going through multiple emotions through these stories. So without further ado, let's cover our first story. This one is about Kit and Surge as they genuinely give the heroics a try, with more than mixed results. This one starts in, hey, City Escape! Rolling around at the speed of sound. Well, except in this case, there's an out-of-control cable car with a bunch of screaming passengers inside. And here comes our heroic duo, Kit and Surge, to save the day. Or at least try. What's funny is that much like their villainous outings, they seem completely out of their element. Poor Kit tries his best Spider-Man impression grabbing onto the runway tram to stop it. But instead of getting to flex his stuff like Tobey Maguire, he's given the goofy business. Looking like a straight Looney Tunes character as Surge mean mugs him. Like, boy, if you don't get your lightweight ass... But there's no time for snarky comments, as a Chow marching band just happens to be crossing the street. This whole thing is playing out like a comedy sketch as Surge decides to do things her way, slamming into the tram and damn near sending the whole thing off the road. Luckily, Kit still has a hold on it and is able to stop it before everyone inside is turned into San Francisco street meat.
What?
Paste. Street paste. I should have reviewed this script better. And as Surge puts on the theatrics expecting praise from the crowd, she's basically told, "You're a terrible hero!" Yeah, that. Can I just say I love Surge's dialogue when she's interacting with anyone? She's just casually threatening to break a civilian's neck because they are rightfully angry that she damn near killed them while supposedly saving them. Look at my boy's hand though. He's got the Spock thing going on with his fingers? Oh nah, those are definitely broken. Hope that wasn't his good hand because you won't be using that one for a while. But perhaps the most disrespectful thing to happen is the last thing this guy says before heading to urgent care. She's still no Sonic. Oh, you know those words cut down to her soul. You know she's got a huge chip on her shoulder, and the comparisons to the person she's supposed to be destroying are not helping. When we see Surge later, she's stewing in that same anger, until Kit comes by to check in on her, and continues to showcase that Starline programming, obsessively checking to see what's bothering her until she finally gets annoyed with him as well. What's really telling is how anxious Kit looks when he thinks she's upset with him. She really is everything to this boy. The two have a heart-to-heart, and Surge admits that she's starting to see Starline's point about the Sonic cycle.
What?
No, not that Sonic cycle. The one where Sonic saves the day and everyone is happy, but nothing changes because he's not actually dealing with Eggman. But she also realizes that almost all the innocent people they save are weak and inept, but not bad overall. A possible change in her philosophy about burning the whole world down? But that doesn't mean that Sonic and Tails are off of her list. When Kit brings them up, she still openly states she's gonna end him the first chance she gets. Or maybe she won't. At this point she's going full wildcard option, deciding what happens when they get there. As for Kit, he's still very much got a personal grudge against Tails after what happened back in issue 54. So he's absolutely wanting Tails' head whenever that opportunity presents itself. It's kind of scary that Kit is starting to become what Nine was in Sonic Prime. An evil version of Tails, but with actual bloodlust. One might argue he's got more of a dangerous mindset too. Little dude is cold as hell and kind of deranged. Even now he's scheming behind everyone's back, including Surge's. To make sure she always has people to save, he's gonna start creating peril and situations for her to fix. So there we have it. Two unstable and unhinged anti-heroes, now trying their own methods at being real heroes. And yeah, this probably isn't gonna work, for obvious reasons. Surge is starting to get the right idea about how helpless the innocent masses are, but she's starting to think like the Punisher.
You hit them and they get back up, I hit them and they stay down.
She's looking like she's gonna be the true antithesis of what Sonic is about. Sonic doesn't do the heroics because he wants praise, revenge, or even because of some greater purpose. Sonic saves the world because it's the kind of person he is. He's always done what he feels is right no matter what the people tell him. It's kind of what his theme song It Doesn't Matter is all about. Surge on the other hand is doing things willy-nilly with no plan, much like Sonic, but but her motivations, reasonings, and potential methods are far more dangerous. Kit as well is probably going to become a problem for not just Sonic and crew, but to Surge, the very person he's supposed to be supporting. And the way things are going, the two might wind up clashing, especially if Kit starts to really get comfortable taking on a passive villainous role. It's not a question of if, it's a matter of when at this point. This story gets a solid 8.7 out of 10 for me. I love checking in on Kit and Surge, the anti-Sonic and Tails duo. There's just no way this ends good for both of them. But that's just me thinking aloud. The next story is a little more straightforward, but also good. This one focuses on my boy Knuckles, and shows us just what it's like for him up on the island while everyone is down below having crazy adventures. Kind of sad to see he's so isolated and alone for such long periods of time, paying for the sins of his ancestors and having no real agency or autonomy of his own, besides guarding the Emerald. It's here that we see he's actually able to communicate with the Emerald, and it in turn can show him visions so he's not lost in his own thoughts. Hold up, Rouge is on there! I knew it! I knew we saw her as a... We see all of his trusted friends show up here. Sonic, Tails, Amy, Rouge, and even the goddamn Chaotix. God, I wish the Chaotix were a part of Knuckles' crew like they were back in the day. But this is fine too. Even weirder, we see a version of Knuckles that could have been, or at least the shadow of him. He seems lost and without purpose. I wonder if that's a hint to something maybe upcoming. Or it could be nothing. I don't know, I tend to read too hard into these things. But finally, Knuckles' self-reflection is interrupted by a very zesty blue hedgehog. Hey yo, Sonic is literally hitting Knuckles with Bugs Bunny levels of banter. Poor Knuckles having to deny everything he said out loud about being thankful for their friendship. But hey, at the very least he's got company. Once again, it's nice to see Knuckles' relationship with the others. Mainly Sonic. There's this kind of antagonistic energy between them, but it's all playful fun. Even if Knuckles probably does harbor some jealousy towards Sonic's free lifestyle. And for once it appears they didn't bring all the danger and peril to his island like usual. Sonic, Tails, and Amy do seem to be coming off the heels of another adventure, which will carry off on the upcoming issue number 80. This story gets a 7 out of 10. Not bad at all. And last but certainly not least, we've got a story that's not so much about the present, but about Mimic and the events that led him to betraying and getting the original Diamond Cutters killed. This story details his sad beginnings, all the way to his current state as a scummy piece of calamari. In this one we learn how Mimic views the world around him. He's a very disturbed individual with a rather pessimistic view on not only his place in the world, but everyone else's. Starting from humble beginnings of Mimic's early days as a failed actor. Yes, that's right, you heard me. Dude originally was an actor, and a bad one at that. He seemed to have craved the attention and the spotlight, but after many failed attempts, he starts to see people as selfish. Things suddenly take a turn when Eggman declares war on the planet. That of course dates the beginning of his downward spiral around the time Sonic Forces begins. Crazy how that game seems to be the catalyst for most of the events in the IDW comic. In order to survive, Mimic completely buries his feelings and restarts his entire life. That is, until he discovers other groups of survivors and decides to take advantage of the chaos, using them as means to survive. And this is when we see that he has very little regard for others, with every montage showing that he very easily abandons and betrays every group he's buddied up with, once the opportunity presents itself. And then Mimic comes to an epiphany. He's not the only one acting and playing a part. It's the world that's all a facade. Every person is playing a part and pretending to be normal, even though they've all got a huge gaping void inside. He's just the only one that embraces it. In case you can't tell, this is not the healthiest way of thinking. And if anything, this just further shows how sad he is. He was never able to make any real connections to others, and is now fully embraced being a completely detached loner. That is, until Whisper finds him. Here's where things get very interesting, because this isn't the Whisper we know in current day. This Whisper seems bouncy, happy almost, like a certain lemur we see in the future. So yeah, Whisper is completely astonished by Mimic's ability to take on other forms, and decides to introduce him to the rest of the group. Yes, people, this is probably the worst thing we learned in this story. Whisper is the one who introduced Mimic to the Diamond Cutters, a fact she no doubt still blames herself for. We all know the rest. Mimic is brought in to meet them and is promptly added to their ranks, given his very useful ability to take on other forms. If you've ever wondered what the original Diamond Cutter crew was like, this gives us a much better look at each of their dynamics and personalities. This group of rebels does the one thing no one else could ever do. They actually start to bond and grow on Mimic. They show him genuine care and camaraderie, something he's never experienced before. Something that challenges his original idea of people all being fake. He even states that the one time he's given what he's always wanted, praise, love, and attention, that it's a very dangerous memory. He is so paranoid and detached, he sees the one good thing he has in his life as a negative thing that needs to be forgotten and removed, so he can maintain his own facade, which he ironically deems as his own truth. Then, one night when the group is all together, they grow even closer, sharing their experiences and gratitude for one another. And look at the Blue Wisp. It seems to be the only one noticing Mimic's weird behavior. Whisper specifically calls out Mimic and gives him the praise he's always wanted for his abilities, something he claims no one has ever appreciated or saw him for. And that's it. He finally sees the light. So naturally, Mimic settles into his newfound family, becomes a pillar of the Diamond Cutters where he's loved, wanted, and appreciated for his abilities, helping them fight Eggman with a newfound purpose, and more importantly, friends.
So that was a fucking lie.
No, of course I'm messing with y'all. That's how it should have gone. But this is Mimic we're talking about. He can't see this as anything but a huge charade. And what's worse, they're making him feel things.
Did I just catch you having
Feelings.
Is it guilt? Happiness? Purpose? Whatever it is, he decides right then and there that they've got to go. They're weakening his worldview, and he can't be having feels at all. And we know how the rest goes. He betrays them, gets them killed by Eggman, all but one. And we see this is what destroyed Whisper as a person. Mimic did more than kill his found family that day. He truly broke what Whisper was. A true mirror of one another. Whisper had everything she could have ever wanted with the Diamond Cutters, loved them like a family, and they were taken from her, leaving her broken with nothing. While Mimic had nothing and was given purpose and a found family, but he destroyed it so he could feel whole again, betraying the one person who believed in him. Truly the worst villain in the comics so far. Just the most hateable piece of shit ever. Holy. We end our story with Mimic trying one more assassination attempt on Whisper at the campfire, until Sonic happens to arrive at the right time. His pure heroic aura causes Mimic's ass to reconsider and try again another day, fully embracing his scummy self and leaving us with the question, who are you? This story is a solid 9 out of 10. An excellent read delving into a character who we all hated, but hate even more now seeing that he was always an irredeemable piece of shit. And if you'd like to know more about this story with an in-depth look, I'd highly recommend checking out IDW Sonic on Twitter, the writer of this story, who breaks the whole thing down. It's a very good read. So what do you all think of Mimic? Did this story make you hate him more, or do you feel you understand him better? Spin-dash the like button for that engagement and algorithm, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all next time. Last video's best comment. This video is brought to you by my patrons: Julian Gill, Whoopee, Sebastian Platt, Laze Boy, Starfighter 364, Latrice, Twitter 1, Brenda Ajimu, Gabriel, Pokédexes, Shadow, Maverick, Marcy Martin, Hotshot Ninja, Gabri, John Gumby, TJ2K, Seiko, A Human in a Hoodie, Max Moeller, Hawkin125, No Name, Kiera, Julia Bonavita, Jeffrey Dahl, Jack Thorne, Anthony Sampson, Dennis Taylor, Ruckus 3K, Chris, Budsy, Malik Brehan Alston, Ronnie Holt, Cav, Ivan Lugo, Jack Rigg, Milza Hodinu, Little Rara, Black Flash 09, Shadow Soul, The Zetablade, Not Legoshi, Noah Whitson, Sarah McMenemy, The Zerai, Martin Brown, Ali Bird, Alyssa, Gamerboy, Tyler, Darkness the Human. Thank you all for your continued support.